famous gays and lesbians, alleged and otherwise. I'm your host, Thomas Connolly. I happen to be a gay actor, and I live in the gayest city of them all, West Hollywood, California. Now, today's episode features a rather despicable, unethical, duplicitous human being. And you may ask, why are you choosing to feature such a reprehensible individual? I have no idea. No. I was a history major in college, and I'm a firm believer in the adage, if you don't learn from the past, you're doomed to repeat it. Hey, we have to be on guard. We have to be aware. Someone like this could easily pop up again in our culture. Hey, it's not that far-fetched. Look at what's going on around us. 30% of the population, that's some 70 million people, choose not to believe the bona fide results of a presidential election. And all these wild conspiracy theories out there, QAnon, extreme voter suppression tactics. Come on, we got to be on guard for what's happening in our world. Now, who is this deplorable individual? None other than the unbelievable life story of Roy Cohn. Now, you might not know this, but in the 1950s, Roy Cohn was the central creator, founder, and perpetrator of the Lavender Scare. Now, the Lavender Scare was a movement to rid all gay people from the federal government payrolls. Now, you've probably heard of the Red Scare, which was founded by Joseph McCarthy and lead counsel Roy Cohn to rid our country of all communists. The Red Scare ultimately became an embarrassment and nothing but a stain in the history of our country. The Red Scare pitted neighbor against neighbor in a relentless witch hunt, allowing anyone to accuse you of being a communist. Many talented directors, actors, and writers lost their livelihood due to the Red Scare. Some big names that were blacklisted during this period were Charlie Chaplin, great actor, director, writer, Oscar-winning actress Lee Grant, writer-director Orson Welles, musical composer Leonard Bernstein, writer-poet Langston Hughes, singer-actress Lena Horne, to name just a few. All of those people were brought up on bogus charges by the House of Un-American Activities Committee, led by Joseph McCarthy and Roy Cohn. They even accused Lucille Ball of being a communist. Luckily, she was never blacklisted and brought up on federal charges. Lucy famously said, "The only thing red about me is my hair." However, concurrent with the Red Scare was the Lavender Scare, which is not well known these days. Now, the Lavender Scare was happening at exactly the same time as the Red Scare. And like I said, it was led by the twosome Roy Cohn and Joseph McCarthy. Now, the goal of the Lavender Scare was to fire any homosexual employee working for the federal government. Yes, as a gay man, Roy Cohn spearheaded the Lavender Scare movement. Now, you might ask, why would the United States want to fire homosexuals on the payroll? Well, Roy Cohn, as a homosexual man, convinced the powers that be in Washington, D.C., that gay people were all a tremendously high security risk. Now, stay with me. This is the most ridiculous theory. Roy Cohn espoused that Russia would secretly find out who each and every gay American was, blackmail them, and make them spies for the Soviet Union. Makes perfect sense. Now, I know that sounds ridiculous and absurd. Chances are you wouldn't even believe that premise in a Saturday Night Live sketch. Now, Roy Cohn generated so much fear and momentum with this ridiculous theory of the Lavender Scare that he actually got President Dwight D. Eisenhower to enact Executive Order 10450, which was signed on April 27th, 1953. Now, this is exactly what that executive order said. It banned all homosexuals from working in any capacity for the federal government. Did you know about this law? Because it was technically on the books for the next 40 plus years until President Bill Clinton replaced it with the don't ask, don't tell policy. And it wasn't until 2008 with President Barack Obama that LGBT individuals were fully protected from discrimination within the federal government. Now, President Eisenhower's executive order to fire all homosexuals in the federal government was far more pervasive than the blacklisting and the Red Scare movement. More than 5,000 people lost their jobs due to anecdotes, innuendos, and rumors. And not only did these 5,000 people lose their jobs, they suffered the public humiliation and trauma of being outed as a gay and lesbian person. And this was in the 1950s when the American Psychiatric Association classified homosexuality as a sexual perversion and a mental disorder. This actually wasn't removed from the APA, the American Psychiatric Association, until 1973. Now, I'm sorry to report that it's estimated that more than 100 people committed suicide due to President Eisenhower's Executive Order 10450, engineered by the gay man himself, Roy Cohn. Well, that's it for part one of the Roy Cohn story. There was so much to unpack here that we had to put it into two parts. Now, stay tuned for part two. Roy Cohn hooks up with Donald Trump. What could possibly go wrong? Well, this is Thomas Connolly for Famous Gays and Lesbians, Alleged and Otherwise. Hope to see you in part two. Bye-bye.